lot of people run into this issue when they get to an intermediate level, right? So even with just that kind of intermediate level, I feel like you get past the kind of beginner level with social skills when you can consistently kind of go up to a group of people and start talking to them, and you're engaging to where they don't want you to leave, right? I feel like then a more intermediate problem. So kind of after you get to the point where, folks are happy to have you around and listen, next it gets to, okay, if you're interested in someone else, are you able to express that interest, and are you able to build on that, right? Are you able to have the other person become interested in you as well, whether it be, for a business relationship or romantically or whatever else, right? Now, the intermediate problem that I feel like a lot of people run into, and I've been guilty of this myself, is that as you start making these connections, right, you find that it's not enough for you to like the other person to like you, right? Just liking each other or wanting to continue interacting ends up being not enough, because what becomes more important is kind of the terms of your interactions or the terms of your relationship, right? So just to stick with the romantic side, because I feel like it may be a little bit easier to explain, there may be, let's say me, I may go up to a woman, really like her, express interest in her, feel like she's expressing interest back. But then you get to the next step of, okay, well, how often are we going to be kind of following up? Is it going to be text, calling? Who's going to do the calling? Are we going to be meeting? Where are we going to meet? Who's going to ask the other person to meet? Just the logistics of it, and I'm trying to think of a useful word here. The logistics of it and the tone and tenor of it, right? So it can be one thing, if you're always having to text the other person, they, take their la-di-da time responding or not respond. And then maybe you get frustrated, that happens and has happened. Or maybe it's the other way around, right? The other person would really like to meet up, but your schedule's busy and you can't. And so they get a little bit frustrated, right? This kind of intermediate step is, how do you arrange the interaction, the conversation, so that these later steps of the logistics of the who's doing what and when is more easy and more agreeable for both parties, right? It's oftentimes called, in the social skills world, frame control, okay? So how can you set up a situation so that it kind of fits your interest, as opposed to accepting a situation that does not give you all of what you want, but is what the other person wants, right? And this can be hard. I feel like oftentimes we can see when things have gone wrong, right? We can see the issue. We can see when we feel like the other person's kind of acting up. But then how do you change that behavior? Particularly if it's kind of been like a gradual change or a gradual shift, right? Inching along into maybe more behavior that you don't like, or things that you're not really okay with or wouldn't really want in an ideal world. And then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is too much. And oftentimes, just from my experience, when you get to that place, it's very hard to change, right? You can try and set boundaries. You can communicate, say what's working, what's not working. But because there's been a precedent set, because you've kind of inched all the way along and then, got to a point where it was too much. When you do communicate these things or set the boundary, it can kind of feel harsh, right? Or like it's coming out of the blue or unexpected. And so that's just something to be careful for. And it's really something that you have to start to work through from the beginning of the interaction forward, right? Oftentimes, if you wait until things become a problem, it's too late. So it's something that has to be set up proactively. And as I go into other videos, I'll be talking about it more. But this is an issue I want to highlight, because it'll sneak up on you if you're not aware. And like I said, when it does happen, it's often too late to correct. So keep an eye out for it, stay strong, and keep at it.